They chained a Deathworld girl in place. He vanished instead. Ria Voss didn't flinch when the clamps sealed around her wrists. She didn't twitch when the locking rods slid through the chair's frame with a low metallic thrum. What unsettled the observers, what made several step back, was her stillness. Not fear. Not defiance. Just controlled quiet, like she'd rehearsed every breath. The inspection bay was carved into the heart of Meridian Platform, a rotating ring station suspended above a black dwarf star. Light didn't fall here, it spilled in thin, colorless sheets from layered lumens overhead, giving everything a sterile, underwater glow. The chamber was circular, tiered, with a glass observation canopy overhead and 12 angled sensor pylons around her chair, each humming at a frequency calibrated for non-human physiology. Ria, however, was aggressively human. She sat barefoot, unarmed, hair tied tight, expression unreadable. The room temperature was cold enough to fog the exhalations of the alien staff around her. But when she breathed, nothing fogged. Her breath came out warm, steady, invisible, another thing the aliens didn't understand. Principal Avram Kedros entered last. He didn't walk, he drifted on a magnetic glide board, robes hovering above the polished floor, expression stretched thin over bones too long for comfort. His species, the Sarathel, were famous for two things: flawless memory and subtle cruelty disguised as protocol. Silence rippled across the chamber as he descended. Subject Ria Voss, he announced, voice carrying a soft vibrato, almost musical. You stand for inspection under Meridian Regulation 17. Verbal response required. His gaze sharpened like a scalpel. You will answer when instructed. Ria kept her eyes forward. I understand. Several observers flinched at the resonance in her voice. It didn't echo. It pressed like it displaced the air instead of vibrating through it. Kedros's nostrils tightened. He masked the reaction quickly, but Ria caught it. They always reacted. The Sarathel claimed objectivity, logic, and superior intellect. But even they had myths, ancient ones, about worlds where life grew teeth before it grew language. Death worlds. Planets that forged apex organisms through brutality, not civilization. Humans came from the worst one charted. Kedros stopped beside her chair. You will identify yourself fully. Ria didn't respond immediately. She inhaled once, chest rising, falling. The sound monitors adjusted, compensating for the slight distortion her breath caused. My name, she said carefully, is Ria Voss. Earthborn. Civilian exchange candidate. Kedros's pupils contracted. Your last designation. She looked up at him. No. A murmur rippled across the observation canopy. A Sarathel administrator whispered sharply. Protocol requires compliance. Kedros raised a hand. Silence returned. Ria, he said, dropping her surname like an insult. Your file lists a restricted classification. Deployed frequency anomaly. That phrase appears on weapon manifests. He leaned closer. You will state your designation. She didn't blink. I'm not a weapon. That is not the question. Ria's fingers tightened subtly around the chair grips. Not enough to be noticed by most species, but enough for Kedros to see. He smiled, faint and cold. He pressed a control key. A deep thrumming started beneath the floor. The clamps around her wrists brightened, generating a field that would force vocal clarity, stripping whispers, enhancing volume, compelling resonance. It was meant for species with fragile dialect structures. On a human throat, it was reckless. The chamber lights shifted. The hum deepened. Ria felt pressure curl around the base of her skull, a tugging sensation that urged her vocal cords to respond. She said nothing. Kedros raised a brow. Your silence is obstruction. Above them, a recording drone adjusted its lens. Observers leaned forward. The tension thickened until it felt physical. Ria lowered her gaze. I warn you again. Do not force me. Kedros's voice thinned with amusement. Your threats hold no weight here. He touched the panel again. The pressure spiked like a tightening fist. The clamps didn't injure her, they weren't meant to, but they triggered involuntary reflexes in species with compliant physiology. Ria wasn't compliant. She swallowed once, carefully. My voice isn't stable under coercion. Then you will comply and end the coercion. I am complying. Kedros leaned closer. Your designation. Ria shut her eyes. The memory came unbidden, not a flashback, just a scar resurfacing. A training chamber on Earth. Orders barked. The command to shout. The moment she obeyed. The instructors collapsing. The medic screaming for dampeners. The ceiling fracturing. Her mother whispering afterward, you must never speak when pushed. Choose your voice, Ria. Don't let it choose you. She opened her eyes. Kedros was still waiting. I won't, she said softly. The chamber temperature dropped. Several aliens hissed. One covered his ears despite the fact she hadn't raised her voice. Kedros straightened. Then we proceed to Phase 2. Ria's eyes flicked upward. Phase 2? He tapped the console. A vibration, different from before, spread through the floor, a low oscillation that crawled up the chair and into her ribs. The clamps brightened further. The pylons around her pivoted, aligning in a pattern she hadn't seen yet. What are you doing? She asked. A resonant mapping. Standard procedure. For humans? For anomalies, he corrected. Ria's pulse quickened once, a brief betraying heartbeat. Kedros noticed. It will be painless, he said. Unless you resist, Ria whispered. I'm trying not to. The oscillation deepened. The field around the clamps surged. A faint line of distortion shimmered around her throat. The first sensor registered something unusual. Its screen flickered. Squealed. A technician cursed in their native clicking dialect and slammed a reset. Kedros ignored it. Designation, he repeated. The pressure built. Ria's breath trembled, not from fear, but from the effort to stay quiet. Every instinct screamed to release the tension with sound. Even a syllable would vent the pressure. She forced her jaw shut. Her throat tightened. Inside her chest, something resonated back against the field, small tremors, microscopic vibrations, like trapped storm energy. The technician shouted from the console. Principal Kedros, her readings are destabilizing. Continue, Kedros snapped. Kedros, Ria said through clenched teeth. Stop. Designation. You don't understand, she warned. Designation. Ria felt the moment her control snapped, not outwardly, but internally, like a hairline fracture in restraint. Her breath hitched. Her pulse stuttered. Her skin tingled as pressure pushed at the edges of her voice. Not yet. Not yet. Designation, Kedros commanded. Ria lifted her head. Her voice scraped out, low, tense, almost a thread of sound. Don't push me. The chamber dimmed. The sound wasn't loud, it didn't need to be. The syllables vibrated with microscopic density. The pylons around her flickered like candles in windless air. The clamps sparked. The technicians recoiled. Kedros blinked, startled. What? And then the air bent. Not visibly. Not dramatically. Subtly, like heat rising off desert stone, except this heat moved sideways. The chamber shifted 1 degree off true alignment. A sensor exploded. Light burst out in a brief white flash. Kedros stepped back. Cut the field! The technician screamed. It won't disengage! Ria's breath trembled again. She could feel it spiraling, her voice building, pressure seeking release, the danger cresting at the edge of every inhale. I told you, she whispered. The chamber warped again. A ripple passed through the space between Ria and Kedros, like the room blinked. Kedros opened his mouth. He didn't finish his sentence. He didn't collapse. He didn't scream. He simply vanished. Not teleported. Not displaced normally. He vanished like a light turning off. One moment present. The next, a faint distortion in the shape of his outline. Silence crashed across the room. The clamps unlocked themselves. Ria exhaled shakily. I warned him, she breathed. Above, the observation deck erupted. Alarms didn't blare. They stuttered, glitching in and out, like the station couldn't decide whether Kedros's disappearance counted as danger or impossibility. The lumens above flickered, cycling through pale blue, then red, then an unsettling shade of violet. No safety protocol used. Ria didn't move at first. Movement required certainty, and nothing in the last few seconds made sense. A technician's voice cracked through the haze. Principal Kedros, he's not reading anywhere. Not in local space, not on internal sensors, nothing. Another shouted. We need containment teams. Now! Several of the Serathel stumbled back from the railing, their luminous eyes wide, their elegant posture broken by raw fear. The disappearance wasn't clean. It left behind a faint distortion in the air, like a transparent afterimage, that twisted gently, as if trying to settle into a shape and failing. Someone whispered, That's a fold ripple, but it's inside the chamber. That's not possible. Ria swallowed hard. Her throat felt bruised from holding back the resonance. She rose slowly, bare feet touching the cold metal floor, half expecting the clamps to relock in panic. They didn't. They lay open, steaming slightly from the residual heat. A uniformed officer rushed in, armor heavier than the earlier staff, visor polarized to hide their expression. Their voice was firm but trembling. Step away from the chair. Hands visible. Ria lifted her palms. I'm not resisting. Do it slowly. I am. A second officer came in behind them, stumbling to a stop as they saw the distortion where Kedros had stood. Void preserve us, she disintegrated him. Ria shook her head. No. He forced resonance interference. He triggered the collapse. You're saying you didn't do it? The officer asked sharply. I didn't want to speak at all. The first officer raised their weapon. Ma'am, do not move from this spot. Security lockdown is. A voice cut through the chamber, calm and steady. Lower the weapon. Everyone turned. Counselor Redhan Loros stepped inside, robes trailing like liquid metal, eyes sharp and unafraid. He was not Serathel. His species favored truth over decorum, and rationality over fear. His voice alone steadied the room. Officer, Redhan said, aiming a weapon at someone who survived a coarse resonance spike is unwise. She displaced the principal. The officer insisted. Redhan approached Ria without hesitation. And yet, she remains fully present. Calm. Or calmer than all of you. Ria forced herself to unclench her jaw. Kedros kept pushing. I warned him. Redhan studied her face. You tried to hold back. Yes. Did he give you a choice? No. The distortion flickered. Ria's eyes flicked toward it. What is that? Redhan exhaled slowly. A residual fold signature. But nothing like the ones used for transport. This one shouldn't exist. A technician called out from a console, voice shaking. Counselor, sensors show gravimetric lag in the exact shape of Principal Kedros, like he's still standing there, but displaced half a dimension sideways. Meaning? Redhan asked. Meaning he's not dead, the technician said. He's somewhere we don't have names for. Ria's stomach tightened. I didn't mean to send him anywhere. I know, Redhan said. Your resonance was reactive, not aggressive. The officers still held their weapon trained on her. She's too dangerous. She needs restraints. Redhan gave them a flat look. Put those restraints on yourself and see if you enjoyed breathing afterward. The officer hesitated, then lowered the weapon. The distortion pulsed. Ria stepped back instinctively. Is it stable? No, the technician whispered. It's thinning. Redhan frowned. Thinning into what? Into a tear, said a hollow voice behind them. Everyone froze. Ria turned slowly. A hologram flickered to life on a side console, except it wasn't a console that activated it. The projection just started. Kedros's face appeared, stretched, distorted, as though light struggled to remember what he looked like. His voice stuttered. You shouldn't have done that. Ria's pulse kicked. Kedros? The hologram spasmed. His eyes were wrong, too wide, too dark. You pushed me. No. I warned you. You think your silence saves you, the distorted Kedros said. But silence cuts deeper than screams. Redhan stepped between them. Principal Kedros, if this is a live transmission, identify your location. Location. The projection glitched, splitting into two overlapping frames of his face. I saw corridors. Endless ones. No matter how far I walked, space folded back. I heard my own footsteps closing behind me. I smelled my own breath, and it was stale. His smile cracked like broken glass. Do you know what lives between folds, counselor? Rethan's expression tightened. Nothing lives between folds. Kedros's voice fractured. Something does now. The distortion behind Ria convulsed, expanding like breath pulled into invisible lungs. The lumens flickered again. Ria felt resonance stirring inside her, responding to the tear like instinct recognized instinct. Rethan's voice sharpened. Ria! Step behind me. No, she said softly. It's responding to me. The officer shouted. Everyone out, now! But Ria didn't move. A quiet certainty settled over her, cold and unwelcome. Whatever Kedros had become, whatever he brought back, it was tied to her voice, her resonance, her refusal. The hologram Kedros spoke again, voice barely a whisper. You didn't break me, Ria! You broke the door. The distortion split. A shockwave blasted through the chamber, sending technicians sprawling. Redhan shielded his face. The officer hit the floor. Ria staggered but stayed upright. Something stepped through the tear. Not Kedros. Not fully. He looked human-shaped, but stretched, blurred, like someone dragged his outline through wet paint. His eyes glowed faintly, reflecting resonance, reflecting her. He took one step, and the metal dented under his weight. Ria Voss, he rasped. You opened the fold. Now close it. Her breath shook. I don't know how.